Welcome to the Liberty Reports training series. In today's video, we'll be discussing the DBCount function which is included with your Liberty Reports software. The DBCount function for Liberty Reports returns the number of rows in a table. The rows that are included can be limited by applying a filter. In our example today, we'll be starting with a driving query that pulls a list of AP vendors. We'll then add a DBCount function for each row that provides a total number of invoices for each AP vendor. The easiest way to use one of the Liberty Reports functions is to select the cell in which you wish the returned value to be displayed, then select the Function Wizard button located in the Liberty Reports ribbon. Doing so brings up a list of the most commonly used Liberty Report functions. If we select a specific function, like DBCount, we're then presented with a description of the purpose of the function, as well as the proper syntax of how the formula will appear upon completion of the wizard. Once we've selected the DBCount function and we click Next, we're presented with a list of the available database tables for our existing connection. In this example, we're connecting to a Sage 100 contractor database, and since we know we want to get the total number of invoices for each AP vendor, we'll select AP Invoice and click Next. We're then prompted to create the condition that we can use to filter the result based on the information provided by the driving query. So let's click Add Condition. In this example, we'll filter the function results based on the vendor ID provided by the query. To do so, we'll select Vendor from our column list, select the equal to comparison operator, and for the compare to value type, we could use a literal value and select a valid option using the value drop-down menu. We could also use the database field value type and then select the desired column name. But in this example, it will be best to use a cell reference. In this manner, we can use the same function for each row in the driving query. Once we've selected cell reference as our value type, we'll use the cell selector tool to select the first vendor ID listed in our query and click OK. Now that our condition has been added, we can click Next, and we are prompted to select which column of information we wish to count. We are also given the option to count all records for all columns, or only distinct values. Since we only want to count one column, we'll change our count criteria to distinct values for each column, and choose our desired column invoice number. Clicking Next brings us to the final stage of the function wizard, which provides options for the column layout. Namely, should the columns display left to right or top to bottom? Whether or not to include column captions, which would insert the column name along with our function results, and the options to fill the formulas down, should the function be inserted adjacent to an existing query or function. Since we are only returning one value in our example, we'll leave the layout set to left to right, and we don't want to include column captions as I've already put in a header, and we want this formula to populate for the entire query, so we will leave the option to fill down formulas selected. Once we're done with our changes and we click Finish, we're presented with the number of invoices for each vendor listed. Notice that since we left the Fill Down Formulas option selected, our resulting function has automatically populated for each query result. Were we to refresh the query and a different result set was returned, the adjacent function would automatically update with the new results. This concludes this segment of the Liberty Reports training series on the DBCount function. Thanks for watching. We hope you found the information useful.